So, who is the toughest person in every UFC weight class? Well, today, guys, that's what we're going to be finding out. I've got fighters who I think is the toughest fighter in their division all around the screen, and we're going to match them up to their weight class, and I'm going to explain why I think they're the toughest and why they deserve to be number one on the list in their weight class. And obviously, toughness being, the ability to grit down on their mouthpiece, even when they're a round down, they're 2 rounds down, they've got to win the fight now, or, they've taken a ton of damage in the previous round, their face is messed up, and these guys, they just don't give up, and they just give it all they have every single second of the fight, and they have good chins, they can take a beating, and they're not afraid of anyone, and they never quit because the secret. There's no secret that in the UFC there are a lot of quitters, and when they're having a bad round, really bad round, they're taking a lot of damage. They just kind of give up and wilt. We've seen it thousands of times, countless times in the UFC, and these guys are not those kinds of people. They will go from bell to bell, trying to win this fight, trying to take home that double paycheck, that win bonus, and yeah, so that is that. Without further ado, let's get right into this. We're starting off with flyweight. We're going to work our way up the weight classes, starting off with a flyweight champ, Alexandre Pantoja. I think this is a completely fair ranking because I don't really think there should be much argument here. This dude is legit tough. He wins most of his fights just by out-toughing his opponent. If he doesn't sub them with his amazing jiu-jitsu skills in the first round or two, he just basically brawls with them. This guy is a legit brawler, and you see, the champions nowadays, they're a bit scared to lose their belt. They don't really want to get into a fist fight, a straight up brawl, because, they are aware they can get knocked out. This guy does not care. He will brawl with anyone. This guy has been brawling with Moreno. He recently just fought Brendan Royval, and, he just basically bites down on his mouthpiece. And he just yeah, let's fight. He has a very old school kind of fighting method, but then he incorporates his jiu-jitsu into it. And, even though these dudes aren't huge, you're still not going to want to be punched in the face by one of them. So big respect to Alexandre Pantoja. He is undoubtedly the toughest dude in flyweight. I don't really think there's any questions asked there. Maybe you could make the case Brandon Moreno, but he gets dropped quite a lot. And I'm not saying Pantoja doesn't get dropped, but this guy, he's on a roll right now, and he did beat Moreno. And when this guy was gassed, you could see that his body was literally on the edge of breaking in his fight against Moreno, and he just didn't give up, even though he was absolutely knackered. He was so tired, and there's just no quitting this dude. He's tough, and he's legit, and he's the toughest guy in the division. We move on. Bantamweight. Now, I'm going for Marlon Vera here. There's actually a lot of tough dudes in bantamweight. They've got a very stacked division, as we all know, one of the most skilled divisions in the UFC. But it just came down to the fact that Marlon actually beats people who are better than him just because of how tough he is. Like, you got to look back at the Rob Font fight. Now, Rob Font, I think, is a better fighter. Skill for skill, he's more skilled than Marlon Vera. I think that's true. Some people may not agree with that. However, the thing that set them apart is that when Marlon Vera was taking a beating, he was fine, okay? He was chilling, he was absorbing the damage, he was taking the hits well, and he just needed to land one or two good strikes, even though Rob Font was landing basically 10 good strikes for every one strike he was landing, and it would just send Rob Font chicken-legged. He was doing a dance like he just took 10 shots at the bar, and that is really what separates this guy from a lot of the other bantamweights. He's just so much tougher than them. And it means that, if you're getting in a brawl with this guy, you're not going to win because he's going to out-tough you. He can take hits. His head just seems to show no damage. I'm so confused how. Like, this guy can literally get hit like 100 times in a fight and he'll come out with like no bruising or cuts. Really, really crazy. I don't know how that happens. He's like the opposite of Nate Diaz in every way in regards to facial damage. And super tough dude. He's got, granite chin pretty much. And he basically just out-toughs opponents who are better than him and ends up beating them. We've seen it in multiple fights. He's been losing fights and then basically just knocked them out after enduring quite a fair bit of damage. We've seen it against Cruz. We've seen it against Frankie Edgar, and we've seen it against Rob Font, which I was talking about previously. So yeah. And he can fight too. This guy's actually legit. I'm not saying he's talentless or anything like that. I'm just saying, some fights where if he had the same kind of, he had no durability, he'd probably lose them. But he knows his skills, and one of them is his toughness, so fair play to him. Moving on to featherweight, Max Holloway. Now, featherweight is another one with loads of legit people, but the reason I picked Max is because he's taken so much damage and he's never been dropped in his UFC career, which is absolutely insane. I'm pretty sure there's only two fighters in the entire UFC to have more than 20 fights and never been dropped, and he is one of them. The other is John Jones. However, John Jones is on steroids, and we know that Max Holloway isn't from his frame. So yeah, but Max Holloway, this dude, seemingly invincible at this point. You know, the day may come where Max Holloway will be proved not to be invincible, but that day has not come yet, so we will never know. And this guy's chin is insane. And not only his chin, he never gives up, you know. Even when he's been absolutely schooled by Volk in their third fight, he still tried to win the round in the fifth, you know what I mean? He's not going to give up and just quit and let people basically bully him in the octagon. He's not one of those people. This guy's got character, he's got personality, and he's got perseverance. And he just basically outlasts people on the feet. And yeah, that's his game. He knows what he's good at. He's got great cardio too, so when you're tough and you have cardio, it's an amazing combination, and his high pressure style really suits what he's good at. Because, you know, when a fighter knows what they're good at and they basically adjust their fight style around it, that's when you see guys just create a great mold. You know, we've seen recently Sean Strickland with his pressure-based, like high-pressure fighting and his like really good cardio. In a similar kind of way to Max, where you just pressure, and it doesn't matter if it gets a bit scrappy because you can hang in there. And even though Max doesn't have that much power, he's still getting wins against top dudes who are actually like way stronger than him, just because he's so much tougher than all these guys. So mad respect to Max, and that is why he's the featherweight toughest guy. So yeah. Moving on now, lightweight is a bit of a toss-up because, again, it could literally be anyone for lightweight. There's so many tough dudes in there, apart from James Vick. And I've gone with Benoit Saint-Denis because this guy's been in wars. Granted, he hasn't actually fought like the toughest level opponents yet, but you got to look at this guy's background too. This guy's he's a man of many talents. This guy's a former, basically, I think it's GIGN, which is like the French version of the like basically the highest level operative of a army combat person, like basically the French SAS. So this guy's legit, like tough as nails. This guy ain't scared of anything, you know what I mean? He's been on some crazy missions, I can imagine. And yeah, this dude's just grits down on his mouthpiece, and he's down for a brawl, who's down for a scrap. And obviously, the other person that came to my mind in lightweight is Justin Gaethje. However, he's been finished multiple times. Benoit Saint-Denis has only lost once in his career, and I can't even remember if it was a finish. But he is undefeated in UFC. So yeah, Benoit Saint-Denis, he is not going unnoticed. I think he's going to have a good year. I do think he'll finish Dustin Poirier this year and just show that he's tougher than the older, you know, kind of damaged Dustin Poirier at this point, you know, coming off a brutal KO loss from none other than Justin Gaethje. And yeah, it was a battle between these two. They're both the toughest guys in the division, you know. Obviously, Justin's the BMF, but Justin has been finished multiple times. However, he did take massive damage to be finished. Excuse me. So it's not like he just was like finished by absolutely pathetic punches. You know, he still went out there like a dog and gave his heart. So respect. So, you know, it could be both of them, so don't get too mad in the comments. But yeah, that is my pick. Moving on to welterweight. Now, this one, again, was difficult because there's a lot of tough dudes in welterweight, like Jeff Neal, Kamaru Usman, I was even thinking. Not so much Kobe Covington because he did get stopped, but he does have a great chin, and he doesn't really try. He doesn't give up. He always tries to come back, but he has been finished a few times. I've gone for Shavkat, and that is kind of recency bias because obviously his penultimate fight, the Jeff Neal one, that was an absolute slugfest, and I'm not sure too many people could have basically stayed in the fight with the damage he took. This guy took massive punches from Neal, and Neal cracked Vicente Luque's chin, okay? Now, if this was Vicente Luque before he got his chin cracked by Jeff Neal, he would have been the toughest dude. But Jeff Neal took a part of Vicente Luque that night. So, you know, we know that Jeff Neal's power is basically top in the welterweight division, and you don't want to get hit in the face by him. Shavkat did many of times. He was a punching bag at some points in that fight, just like he made Jeff Neal his punching bag at some points. But Shavkat, even though he got wobbled mad amount of times, this guy got wobbled multiple times, he ended up winning. He gritted through it. This guy was pretty badly damaged. He took a lot of damage in that fight. But at the end of the day, he got the win, and he just toughed it out. And that is a really tough display we've seen. We haven't seen too many in the last year or so that I'm thinking of in welterweight, but that was really impressive. This guy's young, so I'm imagining his chin hasn't been damaged too much by that, so I'm sure he can do that again. So this guy's down to a brawl, and obviously I know he does play, and he's got all finishes. And I've actually seen him really badly wobbled on the regional scene. I don't know if anyone else has seen that video. Go and have a look, because I have no idea how he managed to come back after being like so badly hurt. He was chicken legging all over the octagon, bouncing all over the place, and he still managed to finish his opponent. So ultra impressive win from Shavkat there on the regional scene, and it just shows why this dude never gives up. He's a dog, because even though the guy was literally one more punch of being finished and completely out of it, and he still came back and won the fight. And again with Jeff Neal, just an amazing, tough, very gritty performance, which is what we have to respect, because it makes UFC fights very fun to watch. Moving on, middleweight. It's Marvin Vettori. This guy is a dog. He has probably the best chin in the UFC right now. Obviously Max is up there, but this dude's fighting big guys. These guys are really big, beefy dudes that are strong, and he's been fighting power punchers, been taking hits just square in the chin and not even been like wobbled. For example, the Jared Cannonier fight, I've never seen someone take so many big shots and not even get wobbled properly. So very, very legit. This guy's fought top guys in the middleweight division, and he's took some mad shots, and he never gives up. All right, granted, he's never going to be champion because his skill lets him down a bit, but this dude he'll just brawl with anyone. He'll try and brawl, because he'll probably not land many of his punches because his striking's pretty terrible. But I mean, you got to respect that chin, that grit. He never gives up, and that is what I like about Marvin Vettori. And his relentlessness is so impressive, and it's just a shame that he's not so skilled in comparison to others, because I'm sure if he was, he'd be up there. If this dude had like legit striking, he'd be so much higher in the division because of how tough he is, how good his cardio is, but he just kind of lacks any lethality on the feet, and his grappling, he just kind of wet blanket, so he struggles to find finishes, which is a shame. But I mean, this dude's top 3 toughest dudes, top 2 toughest dudes. It's him and Max, in my opinion, that are the toughest dudes in the UFC right now. And I don't really think there's any argument with that. But middleweight's got a lot of tough dudes in it too. Dricus is up there too, but we just haven't seen Dricus hit by a crazy shot yet. And Dricus has been stopped in his career before. Marvin Vettori has not. So yeah, Marvin's only lost decision. So yeah. We're going to move on to light heavyweight now. So obviously there's a few tough dudes in here. It's kind of hard to pick because there's not like one that just screams out to me. But I'm going with Johnny Walker for my pick. This guy's chin is amazing. No, I'm joking. It's not Johnny Walker. Oh, I'm joking. It is Jamal Hill. Now, Jamal Hill is a brawler. He's pretty... this guy's got a good chin. He's legit. I guess you could say Glover Teixeira, but he's retired now. He's also very, very tough. And... I guess maybe even Anthony Smith like 2 years ago, a year ago, but he did just get absolutely starched by Carly Roundtree. So I don't know what's going on there. But Jamal Hill, he's tough, good chin, doesn't give up, huge respect. He's a good fighter. This guy, he may well be champ in the next 2 years again. Obviously have to vacate due to injury, but very legit and just an all-round tough dude. Brawls. Good boxing, one of the best boxers in the division, and he's got a solid chin, and I rate him a lot. So yeah, again though, it was kind of hard to. There wasn't like a toughest dude who's kind of screaming out to me in that division, so it was kind of hard to choose. And to be honest, surprisingly, the same in heavyweight, because there's dudes in heavyweight that can take a chin, but like a lot of heavyweights have good chins, but it's kind of hard because you would say someone at the very top of the division, like Tom Aspinall. But he broke his leg, and I know it's kind of like a fluke injury, like his knee injury, it's hard to say. And he's also never took a massive shot, mind you. He has took a Pavlovich shot that was pretty big. So the person I went with is Tai Tuivasa. Now, yes, Tai Tuivasa has been finished a lot recently. However, if you look at what it takes to put this guy away, it's impressive. This dude, you go back and watch this Cyril Gane fight, okay? If anyone's debating this pick, watch this Cyril Gane fight and see how much damage he took. I think it was round 3. That guy took so much damage. It was absolutely crazy. And he had no quit. He tried so hard to get the win. Came very close in round 2. But it just didn't work out for him because Cyril Gane's a talented dude when you don't try and wrestle him anyway. And never forgiven him for that loss. And yeah, whoa, like such a tough performance. Really went for the win. You have to respect that. And that's why he's earning the toughest dude in heavyweight, because I've never really seen someone endure damage like that in a fight in recent years. It was really old school UFC vibes. And yeah, super legit from Tuivasa. And even in the Pavlovich fight where he got finished in like a minute flat, like he was taking bombs. You know what I mean? He was taking bombs from Pavlovich. And like to hang in there after taking that much damage from Pavlovich, like he took like 10 massive shots to be finished finally. You know, Derek Lewis only like, they hardly landed clean, like 2 landed clean and the rest were like kind of off the side of his face. They just grazed his face and he ended up face planting. So it just shows you that this dude is legit and tough, even though fights haven't really been going his way recently. But yeah, so that is the list, guys. Leave a comment on who else I should have put in this and who you agree or disagree with. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. It helps out the channel a bunch and it just means that you don't miss any future uploads. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.